Hello again. We are on chapter 10, and chapter 10 is the Mastermind group. Now, over the last several chapters, we've dug in pretty deep with the Mastermind group. Not super deep, but at this point, you should understand what the Mastermind group is. So, this should be a very great review for you. And not just a review, Napoleon Hill is going to go a little bit deeper inside the Mastermind group, as if you already read the chapter, you're aware. So at this point, let's get going, let's get rocking, and we will dig into this. In the first several paragraphs, he kind of broadly explains the mastermind group. Well, let's get started. Power is essential for success in the accumulation of money. Plans are inert and useless without sufficient power to translate them into action. This chapter will describe the method by which an individual may attain and apply that power. Power may be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Power, as the term is used here, refers to organized effort. Listen to this. Power, as what Napoleon Hill is using it, refers to organized effort sufficient to enable an individual to transmute desire and its monetarily equivalent. Meaning, bluntly, you're getting what you want. You're getting what you set out to get. Your goals, your dreams in life. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of effort of two or more people who work towards a definite end in a spirit of harmony. Remember, your mastermind group, the main objective is have harmony with all the people inside your group, or it's not going to work. Power is required for the accumulation of money. Power is necessary for the retention of money after it has been accumulated. It's a twofold. Napoleon Hill says a twofold right here. He spins it on us. He says power is required for the accumulation of money, and power is necessary for the retention of the money after we have received it. Two things there, back to back, like a double-edged sword. And he continues, let us ascertain how power may be acquired. If power is organized knowledge, let us examine the sources of the knowledge. Then he goes on with A and alphabetical. A is infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence, this source of knowledge may be contacted through the procedure described in another chapter with the aid of a creative imagination. So we won't go over that because I know it's being covered in a later chapter, and this one I already know what's coming, so it's a big piece to really chew on and really to comprehend. B, accumulated experience. The accumulated experience of man or woman or that portion of it which has been organized and recorded may be found in any well-equipped public library. Nowadays, libraries were big during his time, were the only means to get information, or colleges. Nowadays, we have the internet, and it's way more easy to get information. An important part of this accumulated experience is taught in public schools and colleges, where it has been classified and organized. And C is through experiment and research. In the field of science and in practically every walk of life, men or women are gathering, classifying, and organizing new facts daily. This is the source to which one must turn when knowledge is not available through accumulated experience. Here too, the creative imagination must often be used. So, proceeding in this chapter, let's continue. Knowledge may be acquired from any of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power by organizing it into definite plans and by expressing those plans into terms of action. This isn't any new knowledge. You've been hearing this stuff over and over and over again. Now we go on to the mastermind, gaining power through the mastermind group. And this is the essence of this chapter. The mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. So you know this. This is a great review. No individual, listen to this, no individual may have great power without availing himself or herself of the mastermind group. In a preceding chapter, instructions were given for the creation of plans for the purpose of translating desire into its monetary equivalent. If you carry out these instructions with persistence, just like the last chapter on persistence, and intelligence, and use discrimination in the selection of your mastermind group, listen to what he's saying. Use discrimination in the selection of your mastermind group. You're not just letting anybody in your mastermind group. Your objective will have been halfway reached even before you begin to recognize it. Wow. Now, before we continue, let's do a review. So, here's you. Now, your mastermind group at this point more likely will be mentors and coaches, people who have done what you want to achieve, and people that will uplift you, give you ideas, whatever the desire, your goal that you want for your life, they're helping you do it and get it. That's who's inside your mastermind group. Napoleon Hill says, let's get this right. He says, use discrimination and selection of your mastermind group. So this discrimination is like I showed you before. It's like you have a ginormous wall around your mastermind group. You don't let anybody into it. And this door to get in is locked, and you have the key. See, the mistake that we do, I've said this before. The mistake that we do is we go to anybody and everybody for opinions. What would they do? Once you have an idea and goal, we go to anybody and everybody who wants to listen until we run into somebody that talks us out of it. There's no way then with Napoleon Hill that we can create power. When you have a great mastermind group, this is the power Napoleon Hill is talking about inside this chapter. He continues and he says, so you may better understand the intangible potentialities of power available to you through a properly chosen mastermind group. We will here explain the two characteristics of the mastermind principle. Now here he really breaks it down into two categories, and it takes a little bit of time to really comprehend this. And he says, there's an economic feature. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself or herself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of men or women who are willing to lead him or her wholeheartedly, aid in the spirit of perfect harmony. So this is the economic portion of it, the common sense portion of it, what we've been going over. Then he continues that this is the phase that takes a little bit while to chew on. He says there's a psychic phase of the mastermind principle and a much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend because it has reference to the spiritual forces with which the human race as a whole is not well acquainted. See, when you surround yourself with people, there's a spiritual force, okay? There's a vibration. See, when you start understanding the subconscious mind, we surround ourselves with people exactly like us. And as the older we get, we have many experiences with this. You know, we can think back. I want you to think back when maybe you went to a party, maybe you went to a company picnic, a a holiday party at your company and people are there, you just don't feel comfortable around them. And it's not because they're doing something bad. Most of the time, we don't feel comfortable because we think they're out of our league. Make sense? Maybe they make more money. We think they're more successful than us. So when we're around them, we're uncomfortable. We're not relaxed. Almost everyone has this experience. See, we end up gravitating towards people like exactly like us. If we're negative, you attract negative people around you. If you're positive, you attract positive people around you. This is the power of the mastermind group, because this is why you want to use great discrimination in who you're letting in. So for example, let's assume, okay, you already make $50,000 a year. So this is your salary. And your goal is to make 6 figures. So you want to make $100,000. And we're just using money. This can be anything, okay? It's not just about money. Now, I'm going to give you 2 choices. Think through this. Who would you let inside your mastermind group? When you're thinking mentoring and coaching, people have done what you want to achieve. Who would you let in? I mean, would you let in? Let me grab a different color here. Would you let in? Would it make any sense at all? You make $50,000, but you end up letting in people who make $50,000. You have some people over here make $30,000, but most of them make $50 because they're just like you. You have some 30s in here and some 40s. Would it make any sense? Would you be able to achieve your goal? Here's your goal down here of $100,000 a year. Would you be able to achieve it? See, I'm breaking this down so you can think. This is how simple it really is. If all your mastermind group making the same amount of money you are or less, are they going to be able to help you achieving $100,000 a year? The answer is probably not, and you know it. And you might sit there and be arguing with me and debating, well, they might give me good ideas. No. Okay, I'm not saying they're bad people. Don't take it personal. But are they going to be able to give you exactly what you need? Probably not. But let's use this for our advantage here. So if your goal is $100,000 a year, wouldn't it make sense that you have people in here that make $100,000? Maybe most of them make $100,000, but that's what you want. You have some in here that make $150,000. Maybe having someone in your group that makes $1 million is way over. Is too nervous for you. Maybe it makes you feel like you're gonna vomit. It's too out of your reach at this point. But at this example, wouldn't it make sense? You have some people make $130,000, most make $100,000, maybe $115,000. Wouldn't it make more sense to do something like that? Because now, what's happened, when Napoleon Hill is talking about, remember in previous chapters, and this is way in the beginning, and he gave the story of crime. And we can use the story of crime in any situation. He was saying, it's the environment. Your environment, it will influence you no matter if you think of it or not. No matter if you believe it or not, it's going to influence you. So then he uses the example of crime, and he says, when you first live in crime, you hate it, you expel it. Then you stay there longer, then you start growing accustomed to it. Then you stay there longer, then it just becomes natural. Then you stay there even longer, and you participate into it. Same thing here with your mastermind group. If you surround yourself with people, your goal is $100,000 a year. If you surround yourself with people in your mastermind group, what Napoleon Hill is saying, twice a week, at least minimum, you have perfect harmony here within all the members of your mastermind group, because this is the prime rule. Everybody gets along. Don't you think over time you would eventually make $100,000 a year? Because that's all who you're hanging around. You become your environment. That's the spiritual side of it. What Napoleon Hill is talking about. You become who you hang around. Just simple as that. In the beginning, you might be really nervous. You might be uncomfortable. You probably will be, because you're hanging around with a group of people, men or women, that aren't like you, but you want to be like them because they have something, they know how to do something that you want to do. We could apply this to any type of goal, anything you want to achieve. But this is a simple, proper way on how to develop a mastermind group. Let's continue. Napoleon Hill says, keep in mind the fact that there are only two known elements in the whole universe, which is energy and matter. Now he's kind of going on and explaining, he's starting to explain the psychic phase of the mastermind group. There's energy and matter. Then he continues to say the human mind is a form of energy. It is a part of it being spiritual in nature. Then he says, when the minds of two people are coordinated in a spirit of harmony, the spiritual units of energy of each mind form an affinity which constitutes the psychic phase of the mastermind group. This is the same thing, the power of prayer. Okay, the same recollection. Let's continue. And he says, Mr. Carnegie, and he's using an example. Mr. Carnegie's mastermind group consisted of a staff of approximately 50 men with whom he surrounded himself for the definite purpose of manufacturing and marketing steel. He attributed his entire fortune to the power he accumulated through this mastermind group. Then Napoleon Hill says, analyze the record of any man who has accumulated a great fortune and many of those who have accumulated modest fortunes, and you will find that they have either consciously or unconsciously employed the mastermind principle. So that's what he's saying. Sometimes people do this naturally. They don't know what it's called. They just do it. Great power can be accumulated through no other principle. Napoleon Hill says, great power can be accumulated through no other principle other than the mastermind group. Then he goes into explaining even more, a little bit more in depth. He says, energy is nature's universal set of building blocks of which she constructs every material thing in the universe, including man or woman in every form of the animal and vegetable life, through the process with which nature completely understands. She translates energy into matter. He's talking about universal laws here, laws of the universe. Nature's building blocks are available to man or woman in the energy involved in thinking. Man's or woman's brain may be compared to an electric battery. It absorbs energy from the ether, which is air, which permeates every atom of matter and fills the entire universe. It is a well-known fact that a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. It is also a well-known fact that an individual battery will provide energy in proportion to the number and capacity of the cells it contains. He continues, and he says the brain functions in a similar fashion. Now he's really getting in depth to the psychic phase of the mastermind group. The brain functions in a similar fashion. This accounts for the fact that some brains are more efficient than others, and leads to this significant statement. A group of brains coordinated or connected in a spirit of harmony, listen to this, in a spirit of harmony, your mastermind group, will provide more thought energy than a single brain, just as a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. Through this metaphor, it becomes immediately obvious that the mastermind principle holds the secret of the power wielded by men or women who surround themselves with other men or women of brains. Now, he words it a little bit kind of funny, a little, but he's honestly correct. See, we've experienced this sometime in our life where maybe in school, maybe that's where you've experienced it, whereas you're forced to kind of get together on a group and work on a project. And once you kind of get in, you guys start getting ideas. You guys just feel like naturally, you just feel like you all mesh together. You all just kind of one. See, that feeling right there is what Napoleon Hill is stating about the psychic phase of the mastermind group. Now, this is kind of a basic understanding of it. We're not digging deep because I know he's going to go into it in another chapter. So let's continue. He says, when a group of individual brains are connected and function in harmony, he uses the word harmony again, being in complete harmony. The increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual brain in the group. Now, when we get to these chapters and mastery of the 13 principles, this book is not meant to just be read one time. You need to read these chapters over and over and over, because now he's starting to get into some good stuff that takes a little bit of time to digest and really understand a deep meaning. Napoleon Hill says, power may be produced through friendly alliance of minds. Men or women take on the nature and habits and the power of thought of those with whom they associate in a spirit of sympathy and harmony. And this is what we've been talking about. Let me read it one more time. Men or women take on the nature and the habits and the power of thought of those with whom they associate in a spirit of sympathy and harmony. And what he's saying is who you surround yourself with, most of the time, you will become. Plain and simple. Exactly that is what Napoleon Hill is stating. Napoleon Hill says, read, think, and meditate as you read. See, this is how you should study this type of material. He said, read, think, and meditate as you read. Soon the entire subject will unfold and you will see it in perspective. You are now seeing the detail of the individual chapters. And I like these couple paragraphs. I'm going to read them to you. Money is as shy and elusive as an old-time maiden. It must be wooed and won by methods not unlike those used by a determined lover in pursuit of a girl of his choice. And coincidental as it is, the power used in the wooing of money is not greatly different from that used in wooing a maiden. That power, when successfully used in the pursuit of money, must be mixed with faith, belief, and expectancy. It must be mixed with desire. It must be mixed with persistence. It must be applied through a plan, and that plan must be set into action. One more time. Napoleon Hill continues to say, when money comes in quantities known as big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows downhill. Let me say this one more time. When money comes in quantities known as the big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows downhill. There exists a great unseen stream of power, which may be compared to a river, except that one side flows in one direction, carrying all who get into that side of the stream onward and upward towards wealth. And the other side flows in the opposite direction, carrying all who are unfortunate enough to get into it, downward to the misery and poverty. Power. chew on these 2 paragraphs, read them, meditate on them, like Napoleon Hill says. He says, read, think, and meditate as you read. It's not about speed reading. Read, think, and meditate as you read. Napoleon Hill says riches are shy and timid. They have to be attracted. Riches are shy and timid. They have to be attracted. Anybody can wish for riches, and most people do, but only if you know that a definite plan plus a burning desire for wealth are the only dependable means of accumulating wealth. I'll see you in the next module.